I don't throw around the word evil lightly, but Activision is a company that I genuinely think operates on evil principles. I actually believe that they are malicious and morally wrong in a lot of their decisions. Now, I know that I just lost everybody who say all morals are subjective, and if you can get ahead by any means like a psycho, do it. Activision operates by those principles, in my opinion. They operate on the principles of, if we can get ahead in any possible way and screw someone to do it, we're going to do that, and we're doing it hard. Because Activision recently, to give you some context, they canceled a fan mod, and before you think this doesn't apply to you because you're not on PC, this applies to everybody because it shows the kind of company Activision is, along with a lot of other proof I'm going to talk about today. They canceled a fan mod that was essentially recreating the original experience of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 original multiplayer. Now, this mod was scheduled to come out the day after they canceled it. And they waited, in my opinion, I'll add that, until it started gaining traction, until it started gaining hype, and they used a actual sale on the game that it was going to be for to ride the promotion of this fan mod on PC that was going to recreate that classic Modern Warfare 2 style multiplayer. And then they sent a cease and desist to the team making it the day before it launched. They didn't do it months before they launched it. They didn't do it forever ago. It was public knowledge this was being worked on. They waited until they could ride out a sale to make every last penny off of these other people's work that was going to be a free distributed mod for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, because Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered campaign didn't come with a multiplayer. It doesn't support multiplayer. So they had to put it on Modern Warfare 1 Remastered. They put that game on sale, wrote it out, and then as hype was building and interest was building, which we're going to look at today too, because there are stats to back that up too, they then, after the sale ended, like the moment the sale ended basically, or that day, they said, fuck you. And they canceled that mod. So they waited quite some time for people to work on this in their community and pour their passion, heart, and soul into it, and then they canceled it right after that sale. I want to first off say that we're going to take a look at some sources today for this. If you want to see more sources, originally I heard about this from Some Ordinary Gamers, the creator Mutahar, who's very big. I'm not calling him fat. I mean, his channel is big, okay? Yikes, I was getting off on the wrong foot if he ever saw one of my videos. But he's somebody I'm a fan of in terms of his content. I don't know him personally, although he does live kind of close to me in the noble nation of Canada, actually right up north from where I'm at in Minnesota. But he actually covered this, and then a lot of the Call of Duty community covered this. And I thought it was important to draw attention more to it, because I know a lot of my audience doesn't pay attention to some of these games. You're not fans of Call of Duty, and that's fine. And I think it shows what kind of company Activision is as they continue to operate into the future. So we're going to show a couple of clips from his video in this today to back that up as well, along with some other points I want to bring up. If you enjoy the video, you want to leave a like, subscribe for more content, I do appreciate that very much. I do actually have a question of the day for you today, because that helps me drive engagement and get to know you. What is your favorite Activision game? Some people are going to say, none. Activision sucks booty cheeks. But if you actually look back, Activision made a lot of the old Spider-Man games you might have played. Activision made a lot of old superhero games you might have made. There are some very good Activision games, at the very least from the past. So I'm interested in if you have a favorite that was published by this company. Now, I'm pretty sure I already mentioned this, but the most important part of this story is that you had to buy from Activision directly Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, the COD 4 Remastered, in order to use this mod that was being created by the community on PC. I already said that they waited for that hype to ramp up. They waited for that interest to ramp up on PC as people were buying it. And then they sent out the cease and desist as soon as their own discounted sale of Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered ended.
Today, our team members received a cease and desist order in behalf of Activision Publishing in relation to the H2M mod project. Again, you had to buy Modern Warfare 1 Remastered, which is still on Steam. It was up there for sales. And this cease and desist came out right as soon as the sale for that game ended, okay? So Activision was totally okay with letting this company advertise and build up this hype in the community. They were excited as hell to let them advertise, make those sales, and as soon as that Modern Warfare 1 sale stops, they send out the legal cease and desist, and the whole project goes kaput. Done. That is so malicious.
So they rode that hype, made the money, then shut down the people who were advertising for free for them. It would essentially be like if they didn't like a YouTuber who was making Call of Duty videos, they knew that YouTuber was drawing a ton of attention to Black Ops 6, and then the day before Black Ops 6 came out, they sent them a bunch of copyright strikes and took their videos down. That would essentially be what it is. You're riding out free promotion for your product, and then you're basically kneecapping the person who did it for you. Now, I understand, again, that the legality of these things is that you can do these things. That's not what I'm debating. I'm debating the ethical implications of it, or the morality behind doing it this way, which is something that I think Activision abandoned a long time ago. If you look at other companies, this is something Mudahar brought up in his own video as well, like Konami with Metal Gear Online 2. They're allowing that to essentially be revived by the community. They're allowing that to exist. I don't know if they'll take it down at some point, but it's been alive for a very long time. And even Konami, who's known in the gaming community for very bad things, allows that to exist. You look at Bethesda, who's gotten in a lot of trouble for their Creation Club mod system, where you can pay for people to create mods. Essentially, like, people create mods, Bethesda endorses them officially. The canon is up in the air on whether they matter or not, but they endorse them and put them even in the console versions, and then you have to pay for a special, I guess, currency in order to get those mods on your game. Even Bethesda allows free mods on pretty much everything. They don't take them down. You know, Fallout London recently came out, massive, as big as a game. They allowed it. It's basically a fan game. Didn't care. You look at companies like EA with The Sims. You want to see a greedy game? Go look at The Sims 4, or 3, but mainly 4. Look at how nickeled and dimed everything is. Like, you want to get like a sofa cover and a bra for your sim? There's probably a pack for that somewhere. They allow mods. They don't go after modders. EA, of all people. That's how ridiculous this is. EA is the good guy here. But Activision is willing to do this.
Now, if you go to the actual Steam charts for this, it's funny because before hype on this mod started building, it was basically dead, all right? Modern Warfare Remastered was a dead project. Literally, at best, 28 fucking people were playing this game, all right? Just enough to fill a ground war lobby. And then, because of the hype that was building up, you had 2,557 players at its peak. You're looking at a plus 5,458% gain in the last 30 days. That's just, by the way, on Steam, one platform. So no matter how many people jumped onto this mod, it was never going to like overtake Call of Duty's actual official offerings. It wasn't going to do that. It was literally designed for people in the community that just wanted to re-experience a mod with their friends. And that's pretty much what it came down to. Yeah, Activision jumped in and pretty much shat in the mouths of people that were excited for their old franchise. And for what? I mean, Modern Warfare Remastered was literally being sold for good money. And then, of course, as that sale ends, they immediately ship out the cease and desist and kill an entire mod right here.
Now, this isn't the only thing Activision has done. I think I could just end my video right here and say Activision sucks booty cheeks and just leave it at that. But the thing is, Activision has done a lot more than this. Now, I'm not going to get too far into this, but do you remember the infamous Cosby suite? Do you remember the infamous sexual allegations going on, just flying all over the place at Activision to the point where it was like, you know, you hit a piñata and there's probably not candy coming out. There's probably like people's panties that were stolen from their drawers by Activision employees. That's a joke, by the way. But I'm saying that they were definitely stepping in it when it came to very inappropriate behavior. And Bobby Kotick, you know, who was basically the CEO at the time, didn't really do anything about this. In fact, I believe, and that's my opinion on it, but I believe he pretty much even got a golden parachute to leave the company with no repercussions. He kind of left in disgrace, I guess, in some ways, but like left with so much money that he's probably out there bidding on eBay against God himself for like gold-plated chariots. I mean, the guy is wealthy beyond belief now, despite allowing that atmosphere under him at the company. That's Activision. Activision is also a company where I have known people who worked at Activision in the past. I don't believe they're under NDA anymore, so I don't even think they could get in trouble. But I will say that I'm not going to name them, which makes this a source, trust me, bro. So you'll have to decide whether you believe me on this or not. I have known people who worked at Activision in the game development side of it who knew that the practices Activision was engaging in as a company were bad, at the very least morally reprehensible, and were lying. So, for example, the guns in Call of Duty. They always made this big stink about how the Call of Duty guns are mainly cosmetics, they don't actually affect balancing, they don't actually change anything. But the team internally, from these people I talked to, knew that it did. Knew that these guns were causing balancing issues, knew that when you bought these guns, obviously with real-world money in Warzone or different Call of Duty games, through their store with your real hard-earned money, that you were unlocking attachments right away you might not have for a gun. You were getting possibly one of the most optimal builds for a gun with all of those attachments right away that you didn't have to learn yourself. Those were things that were affecting balancing that they knew about. My opinion and the opinion of people who worked there. But Activision always made a big public face about how it wasn't doing that. It was just how, like, it was like Fortnite. You know, it's just fun. It was like Fortnite. It was skins. Come on, we're just having a good time. Oh, that guy melted you with an insane gun? You're probably just bad. Like, they were always pushing that narrative, but they knew, again, in my opinion, that that wasn't the case. Now, if you don't care about any of this stuff so far and you somehow dozed off and just woke up and made it to this part of the video, at the very least, I want to draw your attention to the lack of creativity in Activision nowadays. Now, I'm not going to go all the way back to the Atari 2600 because at that point we're getting into games that I'm not very passionate about. But if we start getting back into games, you know, like, for example, from the late 90s going to the 2000s, you had games from Activision that they were publishing like Quake 2. You had games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. You had games like Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. You had games like Star Trek, Hidden Evil. You had games like Quake 3, Disney's Tarzan. Let's move into the 2000s for just a minute. Let's see here. There's a lot of crap in here, too. Activision was also known for pumping out a lot of crap. X-Men Mutant Wars. Blade for the Game Boy Color. Spider-Man for the Nintendo 64, and also for the PlayStation 1. You had games like Star Trek Away Team. Multiple Tony Hawk's games, multiple X-Men games. It kept going with a lot of creativity. You started running into these problems kind of in like 2003-ish when Call of Duty started showing up on the scene. You had games like Call of Duty 1, and eventually, you know, they were still doing all these published games like X-Men Legends, Spider-Man 2 based off of the Raimi games, or movies, I'm sorry. But eventually you started seeing more and more Call of Duty games as they got more popular. Really, that started picking up, I would say, probably in the late 2000s, so like 2009-ish, 10-ish, you started seeing more and more Call of Duty. They started, you know, becoming more and more frequent. And then eventually you get to the modern day. Because if we go and we run through games in the 2010s to 2019, you were still seeing a lot of different creativity from Activision. You're still seeing Transformers games. You were seeing games like Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero was another example of this, where they started to milk it into the ground and release more and more games as the quality declined. Same thing they did to Tony Hawk. And this is where I think that their true colors were starting to show, where Activision was moving from this company that valued creativity and valued all these different licenses, even though they would make crap like iCarly 2, I Joined the Clique, which was obviously just to make money off of a license. I know they did that too, but they were valuing variety. And then all of a sudden, when you start getting further and further into them, especially in the 2020s, you see only Call of Duty for the most part. That's it. That's basically what they've become. I did want to draw attention to a little brief area in here with the 2020 year itself, where I thought this company was starting to go in a better direction. You had things like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster, Sekiro. You had games like Crash Bandicoot 4. I believe you also had the Crash Insane Trilogy the year or two before that. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe this company is actually moving back a little bit towards creativity. Maybe they're actually moving back a little bit towards the company that I used to know as a kid, where when their logo flashed before a game, I knew I was at least going to have fun. But after that little, I don't know what it was, like adrenaline shot in the arm, it feels like when Logan got that shot of the juice at the end of the movie Logan, of that medicine, and all of a sudden he was back to like peak strength for 5 minutes. That's what it feels like Activision went through there. Like somebody got an adrenaline shot in the back of their amygdala and they're like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be having fun and making games. And then all of a sudden that wore off. This company went right back to where they started. And I was thinking again when Microsoft acquired them, okay, well, maybe we're going to see a little more creativity out of them. You know, I know Microsoft is not anybody's favorite in terms of like their own business practices, but I was thinking, okay, well, maybe, you know, we could see some more of this. But then information started coming out about a canceled Crash Bandicoot sequel that they didn't want to do, about ideas floating around for Tony Hawk 3 and 4 getting remasters, didn't want to do it because it didn't print money like Call of Duty did. And that's really what this company comes down to, is if it's not Call of Duty, who gives a shit? And that's so sad to me, because even Call of Duty, they don't treat with some kind of reverence. If they loved Call of Duty so much that they were like, this is going to be our golden cow, but also we're going to treat it with respect, and we're going to make complete games at launch. It's going to be balanced well. You're going to love it. It's not going to need 5 billion patches. If they were doing that, I would be disappointed, but I could at least get on board with the fact that they cared. The problem is it's very obvious that there's a few select development teams and devs themselves who care, but that everybody running the licenses and owning this company does not care. So, in conclusion, I think Activision sucks. I think they're an evil company. I was really hoping they were going a good direction again. They were even starting to do like a support a creator thing, which I have my Fortnite one, which I talk about. Not that Epic Games is perfect, but things like that help me out a lot as a creator. And I was thinking, oh, well, maybe, you know, this is a company that I can play their single player games again, like Tony Hawk, you know, or Crash Bandicoot. And maybe I can get into those things again, like back in the day, but I can also enjoy Call of Duty. Maybe they're kind of going back into a good direction. Like when they fixed pretty much overnight the multiplayer for the original MW2 on Xbox Series X, for example. You know, that was right after the acquisition of Microsoft. And on one hand, it was like, okay, well, this kind of shows me you could have done this at any time and there was no money in it for you. So that's scummy. But I was also thinking, well, maybe this means that they're starting to care again because they just got acquired and Microsoft's going to want them to put their best foot forward and be a company that's actually liked again. But apparently not. They have just continued their downhill slide with just the occasional bump back towards the greatness that they used to have, but never ever even coming close to reaching those heights. And I think that this action really solidifies what kind of company they really are. If you want to support this channel or any of our other channels, you can use our code on Fortnite, like I said before, DJAY123. You can also use that code for 10% off your first purchase on CosmoBunny.shop, which is our website. You can check it out. I'm not going to ramble on about it this time, but I do think there's some really great transformative art pieces over there. And finally, I did want to say we have other channels. We've actually played through some old Activision games on Degenerate Plays, which is my Let's Play channel. That one does not grow much, so if you want to check that out, throw me a bone. I appreciate it. It's kind of my passion project that I mainly care about. But I love that channel very much. We have Magical Jill, where we've been making anime videos. We also have our channel JayRPG, which is JayRPG, where I've been covering JayRPG and role-playing games and things like that. So lots of stuff there. Hope you have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shway.